who really know what they talking about gonna tell you to eat intuitively.
Right. Then yeah. She
right?
said don't
And
follow
then she would, yeah. That's one of the questions that you ask somebody that's so simple, but the answer proves their position, and that's being in the position of right, telling the truth, right? Because most people, they take sides with diet the same way they take sides with religion, with politics, because all of these was used as tools to divide us. Even when we start coming out of the slumber, you will see it was the vegan versus the non-vegan. It's the American versus the African American, right? Every time we wake up, they use whatever we waking up in to pit us against each other again. And we fall for it, right? So when I was listening, I heard you answer that question, I started laughing. I said, this is going to show it right here. This is going to show everybody if she the real deal or not. And she aced it.
Indeed. Yeah, shout out to Eric Hines. Great interview. If you haven't seen it, I advise you to go take a look at it.
Yeah, that was fire.
Yeah.
That was straight fire.
Got to get you on one day with her. That'll be a dope show. You and her together.
Oh yeah. Cause they do something. When they be channeling, it's like I can read the streamer. Like I don't channel like women. I read women that channel. And so I can tell you what she's talking about on current events while she's getting her message. I say, oh, she's talking about this. But from like going back after the fact, anybody could do that. I do it live on the spot and no prep.
Dope, man. Hey, Ross, so we miss you, my brother. You haven't been, or you took a break from the whole YouTube thing. A very interesting conversation tonight. We often hear you use the term Conjure Wars, and I know you're gonna go in, but I would like, for us to set, the context about exactly what a Conjure War is. When a person hear Conjure War, may go over their head. They may think, are you specifically talking about like a voodoo magic type of thing, a cult? Is this like an occult war that you're talking about? What exactly you mean by Conjure Wars, my brother?
Every secret society perform some form of what's known as high magic. Right now, we are breaking out of the conjure of the interim government, right? So it's three conjures. We breaking three conjures to break the hold of 3 city-states. The war conjure was the Queen's magician. I think his name was John D. Right? He gave her a conjure that gave her charge to military of anybody who was using blood rights to create a construct to keep us trapped mentally, right? So John D and the Queen in Europe did that conjure. They brought us the Bible. The Bible is a conjure called religion. Religion, if you trace the root to the word, it means to bind down to something. You use amen, which means conceal the God within. Every time you use amen, that's part of that Bible's contract. The only way out is to use the Bible as a contract, or read it as a contract, read it as a star map, and read it as a riddle, because it's going to walk you through how to break the conjure spell that is tied to the 1492 arrival of Columbus. They got cities over here with ancient Bible names. None of that was named, none of that before 1492. The Al-Maghrib, which is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, secondary conjure contract under the George Washington Challenge. This is a blood contract to put the ones that came over as Moors with fezzes in a competition of knowledge and erudition with the ones wearing the feathers. The parameters of that conjure was that anybody that's one of the chiefs on the land, the first one to break free from the conjure is the one that's supposed to tell everybody break free from the conjure, this is what it is. The hard part is our people didn't remember that we was under a conjure war. So when we start reminding them of Big Mama, we all got Big Mama examples that jars our memory. So when I came knocking Big Mama's drum, that's the little drummer boy trying to become the drum major to lead the band, so you can see what everybody is telling you, a piece of the puzzle, but they can't see the whole thing because we wasn't supposed to. So the Conjure War is all of these sorcerers called priests. They do high magic. Warlocks do high magic, but warlock is not the person. Warlock is a condition that the people are in during the Conjure War, where they're not allowed to access their wealth to deplete the natural resources of the land. And if you look, America has not traded its own oil pumped over here in Mexico and Texas and Arizona, etc. They haven't been trading in that oil because it's in a warlock, meaning it's held in abeyance until somebody remember the parameters of the contract. And this is the constitutional contract written in the blood of Crispus Attucks. That's why they got to always tell you he the first one to die in the so-called American Revolution, because they went behind our back after the the Loyalists set up the Constitution to keep the British at bay, but the Dirty Moors, or the ones who came over here to replace us, they went behind and wrote the blood oath in the contract to keep us bound to their constitutional agreement, because it's written that the blood of the righteous shall not be spilled in vain. So when we talk about a Conjure War, it's all of these masters in the secret societies. Now, I got to make them close that stuff. The Haitian Revolutionary Conjure closed. The Broken Mirror Conjure to keep the matriarchs broken up closed. All of these, it's major conjures. Then you got people still right now trying to conjure stuff at the close of an age. And every priest know that when you try to conjure at the close of an age, you reap all of the negative energy from that conjure. This is sorcery at its finest. It's absolute sorcery. It's a conjure. It's voodoo. Well, voodoo is a bad terminology because they told us it was, but voodoo is actually nature science. And that's the only way you're going to see your way out of here. That's why they kept telling us voodoo was evil, to keep us from going back to our ancestral ways.
Mm.
So that's what I talk about, the Conjure War.
What's the difference between voodoo and hoodoo? Because you talk about the
that's denominational.
Okay.
It's like being the difference between the Baptist and the Pentecostal, or Sunni and the Shia. It's denominational. Even when you say Santeria, they use different ways to express an organic culture in the enemy face, because he won't stop you from passing these keys down to the next generation. And this is what takes us to Dr. Clark.
Right.
He's a historian. He read history from angle of different writers around the world. And in the course of writing that history, he give us a position or an understanding of what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Rod, you said voodoo is nature science. I want to just to ask you about nature and what's going on with nature in this country right now. You know, you really do a good job representing this country in terms of telling us that this is our shit, when a lot of us, you know, look overseas for a homeland. And what do you think about the wildfires, the hurricanes hitting Cali? This country's getting tore the fuck up by nature.
We ain't the only one. We ain't the only ones.
Are we supposed to step in and stop, like do some meditation and try to stop the weather, or are we supposed to let it just continue to do what it do? Like, how does this work in terms of
the weather is driven by the emotions of the matriarchs, and they call it when the elephant's swaying, it causes earthquakes. This is the sway of the matriarch. It's an old earth dance. When they got earthbenders, firebenders, waterbenders, airbenders, etherbenders, just like that movie Avatar.
Yeah.
Right. What we're seeing now is all of this is not natural. A lot of it is to create chaos, to keep us distracted from all of the government. That's about what it is. It's a lot of them where they trying to hold on to their last little sips of power, and they trying to cause as much confusion on the way out as to who's working for the good and who's working for the bad, or who's working for the right and the wrong. Because when you boil this down, this is a kind of meaning that when you come into the physical realm, everything is how the mind adjusts to that, or how the reality adjusts to the mind. The more minds become aware that the game of the gods is a fifth dimensional galactic chess game, and they use people on the earth to play the game, and then the so-called gods take the form of humans to be blind to what's going on to see if they can figure out the solution to the game. They call it the keys to freedom.
I need you to explain a little bit about this fifth dimensional chess game between the gods. What are we talking about here? Like, where's this taking place at? Because we're projecting. Yeah.
The game is taking place all around you. The problem is because we've been so externally oriented, we can't see it. We go back to the Matrix when Morpheus was telling Neo that the world is the deception that's been pulled down over his eyes. That's the Matrix.
Yeah.
Right. Right now we in a holographic mind matrix. A holograph mean all parts is the same as the whole.
The whole, right.
Right. So we're trying to get to event horizon off of 100 monkey effect. Each one teach one. We all gonna reach some. Don't ask nobody shit. Go out and put your hands on the earth and ask her where you belong. And if you don't belong here, every circumstance in your life gonna lead you where you're supposed to be. It's just gonna align just like that, because you have to tune into the earth for the earth to tell you where to be at. This is the same as birds flying south for the winter. We tread the land and we end up. I had to be in the right hand of the Great Mother, which is Michigan. Right? The left hand salute is over the right hand. They call it the Upper Peninsula. Right? So I had to be here in the right hand of the Mother Earth in order to be able to assimilate an energy frequency that's coming in on solar rays. So it's the symbol at the Joe Louis of the statue holding the sun in its hand. That's the symbol of the power of Michigan. Right. But the sun, fire can't burn the sun. Right? That's the saying. The fire can't burn the sun because it's composed of fire. Right? That's like a fire burning itself. Can't happen. It can't be too hot for itself. Right? So it's the same, all parts being part of the whole. Any one part, microcosm of the macrocosm. Right? This is your Renaissance man painting by Leonardo da Vinci. You see, you have the man's arm in 3 stages. Some of them have 2, some got 4, depending on what. All of that is different ways of looking at the galactic clock. In European culture, it's called the Grand Man. In our culture, it's called Tawaret, the Great Mother. So they flipped our culture over and gave us patriarchy to confuse us. Right? So the patriarchal agenda is a conquest agenda, and it's a warring agenda. That's part of the game. Right? Toy soldiers. Pawns in the game. Right? So what we look at, the elders is telling us what they see, but they don't know what they're looking at. They tell us what they see, but they don't know what they're looking at when they telling us. We got to put enough for the elders' communications together in order to paint a picture of the elephant that they're looking at. Right? They call that raising the matriarchy. They all got to give you a piece. That's why the Marines, they say the POW, some gave all gave some. Everybody in this game, whether they want to be or not. Right? Most of us kicking and screaming, but we don't know that half of us came here just to kick and scream because we don't got nothing to kick and scream about in truth. It's all an illusion of the mind called misery. It's the chapter we in. Noble Ali. Right? We in the chapter of misery because we are strong enough to endure the pain at the bottom. So we square off against the enemy as pawns, but we got to rise to the level of greatness in whatever we do. This is what they say, let your light shine in the world. Right? And when your two eyes are one, the whole body is filled with light, and the light is the love of the world. Right? So you bring in back, you turn into what starts out as a war story in the game of the gods on the chessboard, ends up closing out as a love story. And then every story of the war story has turned into a love story, and that kills all opposition to greatness. The greatest love of all, remember? Learn to love yourself, the greatest love. They told you. They was telling you in the music because that's a blues note, blue house knock off of a Mississippi River backwood knocking. This is how they use, this is where blues singers come from. They ain't just come out the South and start singing the blues to the public because it was just something they wanted to do. They was trying to get money because there wasn't no money in it when they started it.